All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first ever dispersal draft from the All About Reality Podcast Listeners League. We've got 3 new names to mention, and then the nominal hosts of that league are going to be split up here. So a couple things about that. I can be found at fantasy.gawk. It's Luke Patrick.
Yeah, it's Matt Goodwin here. I'm in the snowy Pacific Northwest. I can be reached at Matt52. And as we get going with this, we have three new folks joining our league, replacing some pretty solid owners who just kind of wanted to go a different direction. One of which wanted to play in IDP leagues. One of them has baby on the way, so congratulations. And kind of wanted to pare down their football commitments, and one was kind of kicking the tires on RSO and realized kind of the commitment to be good, and just wasn't sure if that was his cup of tea. And then my venerable co-host kind of wanted to shop for his own groceries and abandon a 15-0 dynasty. So I'm happy to go our separate ways and see who was really carrying that, or if neither of us were and we just got lucky, or and with like 3 new folks coming in who seem pretty intelligent on their face. Like, let's see what happens. So first off, from just outside Charlotte, North Carolina, longtime RSO player. I think you played even like before it was in beta. So we got Jenna Davis here.
Hi. Yep, I've been playing for I think as long as it's been going. So.
All right.
Well, welcome, Jenna. Thanks for coming on, and look forward to having you in the league. Sam, how about you, man?
Yep, Sam Melcher from Louisville, Kentucky. This is my third season with RSO. So I've been in a couple different leagues with them, and decided to get the ball rolling.
Excellent.
And then last but not least, we have Ashley.
What's up, guys? Yeah,
Ashley's coming to us from Indiana, and Ashley's someone I got to know over the past year a lot since his podcast came out, and has we've talked a lot about strategy on the team she's in. You're in a pretty intense like IDP league as well, right?
RSO league is IDP. I wouldn't say I'm intense into that part.
Okay, but you're in multiple leagues, and yeah. So wanted to get her involved in this pretty strong general manager, and so kind of the thought we talked about this on the last podcast, but just a quick overview for our listeners. Thanks for joining us live on YouTube with video. The audio will be a couple days. We appreciate Kyle, our CTO, rolling out the technology and the website quickly to a week after the Super Bowl, so that we could do this and reopen our league. And to those who haven't kind of paid the renewal fees, you know how big of fans Luke and I are of the product. It's well worth it. There's a promo code February for those who kind of are proactive and want to get in to moves right away, either by the commissioner doing it or like separately on an a la carte basis per team. So first off, Kyle, thanks for turning this around. The thought process behind us doing this dispersal draft is, we realize from time to time, people with reality sports online, yes, it's a little bit of a time commitment and investment, and and you gravitate towards the leagues you like. So we have a dynamic format. Most of us in this league like that format, and that's scoring and everything else. But some people are up for different challenges, and so yes, there's turnover with that. So with that, instead of just assuming a team that you may not like or whatnot, my philosophy has always been, if there's kind of more than 2 vacating owners in the league, why not have a dispersal draft? And Luke, you want to go into what that looks like?
Sure. So for those of you following along on YouTube, and obviously this will be different for those of you that are listening on the podcast, but for those of you that are live with us here on YouTube, you'll see on my screen there's a depiction of all the different draftable assets. Most of them are straightforward. Any player on a multi-year contract can be picked in order as you normally would during a fantasy draft. So, for example, like you can pick DJ Chark for 2018, 2019, and 2020 at roughly $1 million per year. And so rather 2018 already went by, that's 2019, 2020. This spreadsheet shows all the available assets. These players over here were tossed in from we just wanted the rest of the league, the other 11 teams to be able to get in on the action. So we allowed them the chance at some kind of salary dump, and so they offered these players really key gems and kind of foundations of the fantasy community, like Dion Lewis for $20 million per year. That's really going to move a lot of needles. But in truth, they offered these, and it makes it part of our strategy. We have to decide whether or not we want to take a gamble on, say, Michael Crabtree at a fairly low contract or one of the other ones available in the draft. The only other thing I'll say is that all these draft picks are available. The 2019 draft picks are fairly straightforward. You'll see one of our names next to the 2020 draft picks because as we have no idea where 2020 is going to finish, we just have to arbitrarily assign a pick, or based on the team that was vacated, we assigned a pick. And those are attached to our name. So it's basically saying if someone picks the Luke pick, they're gambling on my team being terrible. And so they're kind of both insulting me personally and making a draft pick at the same time. So that's the kind of what we're looking at here. As to the rest of these things, there's something called situations. And this is, as you know, with Reality Sports Online, you can franchise a player. These are players that are all on expiring contracts. So you're looking at situations right here. And those are players that we can pick one of the vacated teams and then say have access to franchising Marlon Mack, for example, and putting that tag on him, and then the rest of the players will be vacated and back in the free agency pool. So Ashley, Jenna, Sam, Matt, anything that I missed out that you want to hop in and contribute before we fire up this dispersal draft in the first round here?
No, just one thing. If you're following this strategy and doing this at home for your own league later on down the line, the thought process behind the situations excuse me, is basically you can't trade expiring assets, in the system. So this kind of helps facilitate player movement a little bit as well. And then, so while Ashley and Jenna and Sam have all had access to the website since we've invited them and they're kind of temporarily assigned to a team, then they can kind of see the landscape and figure out things. And then all the player movement will happen. We're doing this offline. The player movement will happen, ideally, hopefully tonight, because our league, the other 11 owners are basically chomping at the bit, ready to make trades and whatnot. And since we don't really have official teams yet, the 5 of us can't do that. So we've kept everyone waiting long enough. I think that, our existing group of GMs has done mock drafts. It'll be interesting to see what they say. Hopefully they'll be live tweeting during this. And, we're gonna get started. We did do the order for this on Friday afternoon, as I tweeted about, and Miss Jenna Davis is on the clock.
Well, it's pretty obvious who I'm going to pick first. Patrick Mahomes has the best contract out of any, and he's the best quarterback, so he's off the board.
And to give our listeners context here, Patrick Mahomes has 3 years remaining on a 4-year deal, and that's about starting at $15.5 million in 2019. So 3 years, $50.3 million for Patrick Mahomes. Screaming deal, by far the best contract in the league. And
you really have to have quarterbacks in this super flex. I've never played a super flex before, so I'm not really sure how this is going to go.
Yeah, definitely start off with the best asset there. I guess we're on to my pick. I mean, the irony is, Luke and I kind of missed the boat because we were live recording last year on quarterbacks and whatnot in the super flex. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the quarterback pool we have, because there's only 12 quarterbacks basically available. That's if one of us wants to take the plunge on Case Keenum. Or maybe 13 with Alex Smith. So, but I drew the second pick, and I thought long and hard about this because there are some really talented running backs in this league that are available in this dispersal draft, and for me, it was between Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley, and I just want to be kind of fiscally prudent. And Christian McCaffrey did wonders for Luke and me last year on Team Reality Check. So I'm gonna keep Christian McCaffrey home with me. So he's got another 3 years and $94.4 million. I imagine Saquon Barkley's going next, but he has 3 years, 121.3 million. So love Barkley's talent and his situation, and maybe even expect some reception regression to the mean downwards for McCaffrey, but ultimately, like I don't. Nobody really knows where we're headed cap wise with this for the 5 of our teams, and we are going to have to assume some bad contracts. So I'm gonna go McCaffrey.
It's a fantastic pick. So up with number 3. I know my my profile picture might have made you guys think that I might be going a certain way, but hence the reason that my video cam's turned off, trying to be a little deceptive during this draft. So with the 3rd pick, this is also my first Superflex league, so I'm a little interested to see how needing 2 quarterbacks is going to turn out. And I think with a somewhat of a quiet year and down year this year, I think bouncing back for 2019, maybe pick up Le'Veon Bell. I think Deshaun Watson is going to be a pretty valuable asset. So I'm gonna go with DW.
Ooh, there's a small surprise to me. I think our mockers had the 3 guys. I'm not sure who our mockers had. I think they had McCaffrey and Barkley, but I like that Watson pick. I was not anticipating that. What was anyone else think?
Yeah, that just threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
I know
Just, strong move in Superflex though.
It is. That's just a lot of money right off the board really quick.
Yeah, there we go. So Sam's going Watson, and it looks like Jenna's on the clock now.
I believe Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley. Yeah.
Yeah, so Ashley, you're up now.
Yeah.
The dynamic changes for us. Both you and I assumed Saquon would be gone at this point. So.
Yeah, I was figuring on taking. I was torn between Mixon and Watson all night, so now I guess I'm going to go Barkley.
Yeah, that'll work.
I don't think I can get playing.
I think that ended up. I mean, I think that ends up well for both teams actually, including Luke's.
Who would you have taken if I would have taken Barkley?
Me?
Yeah,
I was taking Mixon.
Now I'm so angry that I picked the 5th pick. Like, I literally want to destroy things in my room. Like, I can't even imagine not picking Barkley with the 3rd. Watson was my straightforward pick at the turn. I frankly don't even want to play in this league anymore. I'm so upset with my life and the way things. Like, I genuinely, like, the anger that's in my world right now is probably irrational. I don't even know where to begin. So yeah, like, I'm totally at a loss. The fire has started around me. Like, I can't like really begin to like say Deshaun Watson was my only certitude in my life at this point. So yeah, I'm think that changes the dynamic for me a little bit. And so what's going to happen now is I'm going to go with like counter to everything I know and believe in. I'm just going to have to go best player available in 2 spots. The way that I see it, there's only one true number 1 pick still available in our league, like first rounder. So I'm going to go Devontae Adams for that pick. And then I'm
Devontae Adams or Devontae Cleveland?
There is no Devontae Cleveland on my team.
Okay,
I assure you that. Yeah. So Devontae Adams and I think that just and just for the sake of clarity, my first pick, the 5th pick in the first round, will be one Zach Ertz, just because I like him more as a human being, and so that's my first pick. And then my second pick, the first pick of the second round, will be Devontae Adams, the Green Bay Packer wide receiver.
Okay, interesting.
So a tight end in the first round.
Yeah, I kind of like the Ertz pick, just because like 16 team super flex, there is a pretty big positional advantage there. So I understand the Ertz. I wasn't necessarily thinking you were going that direction, Luke, but I think the Watson thing probably threw you. So we're back to Ashley. We're flying through this thing. We're already done with one round.
Well, since I had planned on picking Mixon before, I will take Mixon now.
All right. Okay. So I don't think you have to worry about your 2 starting running backs anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Ashley's smiling. That's a good thing.
I'm smiling, but I'm nervous as well. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you see it in your everyday life. We're only playing with chips here.
That is
All right,
true.
Sam's back on the clock.
This is a tough one. Kind of debating going with getting 2 solid quarterbacks in there, knowing that after I pick, I know probably one's gonna be off the board. I'm thinking that that Goody's probably gonna try to get Drew Brees back on his team to see what they can finish out. But as far as this goes, I think I'm you know what? I might have to phone a friend on this one.
Okay, go for it. Sam is a co-manager. You calling Alex?
Calling Alex. He just got done with his men's league basketball game, so trying to see he's gonna pick up or if he's gonna be another 15 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, you could phone a friend. We won't skip you. I know, like the Minnesota. Was it the Vikings who got skipped, Luke?
It was, in fact. I mean, they
sorry to throw salt in a wound after you already didn't have a quarterback, but like,
yeah, that was no. Like, look, this is what makes it fun. Like, I honestly am so thrown. I thought I had every possible scenario scripted out, and just thought the first 3 were locks, And so, yeah, I'm genuinely angry with myself for deferring to the 5th pick at this point. I think that was just foolish. And
did you actually pick the 5th pick, or was that just given to you?
No, I've picked it. So that was like so this is probably some kind of punishment from. And now. Yeah. I prefer to build teams from the running back outwards. So basically, I think Ashley and I are just going to trade squads after she's going to pick what I would have done from the 4th, and we'll just keep moving from there. So
nice. I do think there's going to be an active trade market after this. I mean, I think one of the I think I already saw a tweet from the league runner-up this year that said whoever picks Barkley, they're willing to trade Gurley straight up for Barkley. So, I mean, after watching the Super Bowl and all that, yeah, exactly. But
why would anybody trade Barkley for C.J. Anderson's backup? That's unclear to me.
Right, exactly. Well, Magic Johnson expects like the Pelicans to trade the Lakers for just because he opened his mouth and made a phone call. So
yeah.
All right, just got off the phone, got approval. We're on the same page for this one. I think going with our 2nd pick. I think we're going to have to take who's a better man than a football player. We're going to have to go with Drew Brees.
Oh, so close. Oh man, I thought after all that, I thought he was heading back to me. He is really strong in this league, fantasy point wise. That is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I could go with another running back here, but at the same time, I am pretty happy with the situation. I'd rather have the extra year and a little bit of the cheap cost of Breeze, but I'm gonna go with the 6-time Super Bowl champion, then Tom Brady.
All right, so that puts our first overall pick back on the board. Jenna, you get to go back to back now. So.
All right, let's see. Well, I'm valuing that tight end position, so I'm going to go ahead and take Njoku off the board because I think he's just going to be money next year. And I think I'll go ahead and take David Johnson too. Get that RB1.
I cannot believe DJ fell to you. So arguably you have the best running back I mean, I love DJ a lot, and the best quarterback out of the draft, and Njoku, the Chief. I love that kid. That, however, is like the surprise of the draft to this point. I think you just dropped some.
Oh yeah,
dogs.
It was definitely a reach, but I don't think he'd have made it back around.
Fair enough. All right,
Yeah.
so we've got DJ Njoku off the board, and back to you, Goody.
Back to me. I think I'm gonna surprise some people here. I'm thinking through this for a second. Let's see. Thinking through this for 1 second.
Yeah, this is just delay. I had to deal with Deshaun Watson on the fly. Now you're just coughing up. You're sweating yourself. It's terrible, you know.
I think
the man's in a scarf. He's snowed in. He's got his life's falling apart and tatters around him. He's sweeping with a broom. People in the Midwest. Somebody send Goody a shovel, for God's sake.
Seriously, send me a shovel. Well, you're not going to have to shovel Nathan Peterman out of my driveway anymore because I'm picking another quarterback here. I'm not messing around this year. It's a shallow pool, and I don't really want to be extorted in the trade market from others. So I'm gonna take my talents to Raymond James Stadium and pray that this guy keeps his head on straight for Bruce Arians. I'm going Jameis Winston.
Ooh, famous Jameis.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like free crab legs?
I can't even begin with Winston, but his contract is better than any of the contracts that were left on the board. Understandable there. The Bucs quarterbacks finished 3rd overall if they were taken together in quarterbacking last year. And if you can stomach having someone that does terrible things to crab legs and other human beings, then yes, Winston is a probably wise fantasy pick. So we are moving on then. Keep it moving here. And we are back to Ashley. So oh, I'm sorry,
Sam. Just a quick note. A quick note, Luke. Administratively, can you? We got some people chiming in on the pod. Can you kind of scroll up and down a little bit without sharing any trade secrets on the situations thing, more so on the multi-year contracts?
Sure. Yeah. So this is what you're looking at here. Yeah, I'll try to scroll to players that are being picked as they go. So there you go. So here's Jameis as we're looking at him now. So. Yeah.
So Jameis has while Sam's figuring it out, 2 years left and $33.6 million left. Brady cost $31.1 million for the year. Breeze Sam is getting, even if he gets him just for 1 year, bargain price of $25 million this year and $26.5 in 2020 if he plays through it. And he is super money at home, and he's really accurate in the league that rewards passing completions with half a point, and passing touchdowns are pretty valuable too. So Breeze was the right call to make there, Sam and Alex.
We appreciate it. So just to full disclosure, Alex, my co-owner, is a Bengals fan, so the Red Rocket might kind of was creeping up, but we put an end to that pretty quick.
Fair enough. He might be the best quarterback still available, so he might be go sooner than any of us care to.
And I've been debating on those 3 quarterbacks. I mean, that's especially in a 16-team league. I mean that could give me an edge when it comes to trade value. So I'm kind of debating that right now, but I think for the best case scenario for the team, I think I'm going to have to go with another bounce back player, rolling the dice a little bit, to take Jerick McKinnon off the board.
All right, another running back gone. The running back pool is as shallow as it gets. I'll try to find him. So yeah, he's right here. We're looking at a good running back contract, only $15 million this year, $16 million next year. And yes, if he proves to be what Shanahan's backs have been in the past, then you're looking at, in fact, an ideal bounce back candidate. And for all you breeder lovers out there, I guess you're just praying that McKinnon does not like chew up and just make both of them untenable as ownership options. So, all right. So Sam is through. We're down on to the 4th pick of the 2nd round.
All right. I don't love this quarterback, but I love his contract. So I'm going to take Sam Darnold.
Oh, that's my guy.
I'm sorry.
That's my guy.
Sam
I
Darnold.
think he's going to be big this year.
I hope so.
All right, so Sam Darnold, if we scroll down here, let's see if we can find young Sam.
Sam Darnold, $21.6 million over 2 more years. Really good contract. I think they're really going to open things up. Question is, how are you feeling about Adam Gase, Ashley?
I like this for Darnold. I don't like it for their tight end, but I like it for Darnold.
Yeah.
All right. So that puts me on the turn again with the player that I had hoped for sniped before me. Like that, full disclosure, was where I was headed, hoping that Darnold would fall one more pick. I didn't think Winston would be off the board at this point. I'm not seeing a lot of value in. I do think Dalton and Stafford are still there, like hanging out. Eli's still hanging around. Case Keenum in the draft pool. So that's delightful. That's just giving you some analysis of like the kind of dregs of the quarterbacking world that we're left with here. And having said that, I just think that there's got to be different alternatives in my life, like a different direction that I ought to be looking, frankly. And so, yeah, so I think what we're going to do instead of like playing in a shallow, splashing around in a shallow quarterbacking pool, I think what I'll do here is go with Brandon Cooks, the Rams wide receiver, and his contract entices me as well. He's only $15 million per year. And then I'm going to go with the Red Rocket. I'm going to go with Andy Dalton to get at least one quarterback in the bag on the final year of a cheap contract too, knowing that there's no real threat to him this year. And then buys me a little breathing room to make decisions later in the draft. So Dalton and Brandon Cooks are off the board, folks.
Yeah, Andy Dalton, $14.3 million this year. Brandon Cooks, nice little contract. He's got another 2 years total for $31.6 million, $15.3 this year.
The dynamism of RSO, it's worth talking about here. I really, if you draft me at like any kind of opening draft, I usually like to build outward from running backs, and obviously in a super flex, like quarterbacks would be more of a priority. There's some things I know, like in a 16-team league, seeing the market and seeing how things played out. I'm just working against intuition here and working up the board in terms of value and contracts at this point, knowing that my team may not be competitive this year, and that's a frustrating thing for me to admit, but it's something that we look at 4 picks in. But 4 picks in, like the board didn't break the way that I wanted to, so I'm trying to like maximize like really good players in really good situations, and it's tough for me to look beyond like Adams or Cooks and the quarterbacks that they're attached to, Ertz being the apple of Carson Wentz's eye, and Nick Foles being out of town presumably in the near future. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there. And Ashley, like, you can stop me whenever. I'm just trying to let everybody know.
I like what you're doing.
Yeah. So
that's another thing I don't like. I always loved Stafford until this past year when he just didn't cut it fantasy-wise. I had him in my other RSO league. But I'm going to give him another chance. So I'm going with Stafford.
All right. Stafford it is. So
I'm gonna interject here. How many quarterbacks have been taken?
By my count, we're looking at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks, 8 quarterbacks.
So who has 2 quarterbacks? I have 2 quarterbacks.
I do too.
I have 2.
Okay.
To give everybody a look at the Stafford contract and what Ashley's dealing with here, and Stafford by most accounts is a better quarterback than the Red Rifle, so I wouldn't find anybody critiquing my pick necessarily bad, but Stafford has a pretty intense contract over the next few years. Yeah. So he's looking at we're looking at 28 million this year, escalating to 33 million at the end of the contract. Look, I mean, you get a starting quarterback in a super flex league, so there's no complaints there. I don't think there's any question that he would have come off the board before your next pick. We're moving back on into the 4th round here. So.
All right. So I think I'm up, right?
Yeah.
All right. I think, kind of started the draft. I had the Barkley option. I was wondering if I should, load up on the running backs or go quarterbacks, but seems like some of these kind of fell right into where we needed them, and I think I'm glad I have the opportunity. But I'm going to take a second running back and go Aaron Jones, even though it's for 1 year. I think it'll give me some time at least, and hopefully he has a solid year.
Sounds good. Aaron Jones is off the board, and yes, probably the best running back contract available at $9 million for this year. If you like to keep your running back contract short and bang for your buck, Aaron Jones in dynasty drafts is currently a 2nd round pick in a 16-team league. So Sam snags a lot of value. I mean, I think this draft is breaking like a good way for Sam and Alex, and I think probably you're seeing some wisdom in how he's going about it and building through it. And my prayers tonight will be for him because he's now my enemy, and we should love our enemies like along the way, like having thrown me off for the whole draft by picking Deshaun Watson. So good work on that pick there, Sam.
I appreciate it.
Yep. Sam, you're doing really well. Everybody's doing pretty well, at least articulate what their strategy is. I think it's interesting. I was probably going to go Jones there, so you sniped a couple picks of mine. I mean, we started off the year with Jones last year. First off, Luke, before I pick, or even right after I do your call, where's my team versus where you thought it would be? I mean, I know everybody saw us kind of punt on quarterbacks in the auction last year and everything else. I mean, is this kind of the team you figured I'd start off with, or am I kind of surprising from expectations?
No, actually, yours is one of the only ones that I've been able to get a little bit of a beat on, right? Jenna's the most surprising to me after Mahomes, I think, and I think she's gotten some great fortune. And yeah, your team, I'm kind of anticipating. If I had to guess your next pick, I would guess that you go back to the well from our old team and grab one Keenan Allen, or if you want to go big or go home. I know you love high variance. I think you're going wide receiver here. I think it's going to be Evans or Allen. That's my call.
Okay. Well, you're wrong. I'm actually taking the 2019 1.04 draft pick.
Okay. All right. So Goody gets himself some trade equity rather than going a player. So Goody, presumably with the couple. Now this is where I think there's we wait for Jenna on the turn here. This is where we start to see some interesting strategy, because Goody, of all of us, their building teams here, had one of the best win now chances, I think, with Breeze and Winston and CMC. And so you're assuming that somebody's going to be there at 104, or the trade equity is going to net you a better player than would be remaining on the board. Someone like a 2nd overall startup pick like Evans or Allen or something like that. So it's an interesting, fascinating move for sure on your part. I didn't think draft picks would go this early, so good on you, sir. That's like a curveball. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take Mike Evans if you don't want him. So, and, 16 teams. I'm going to go ahead and take Hunter Henry off the board too, with hopes that he'll use trade bait so I can make up for my quarterback deficit.
Ooh.
All right, so Hunter Henry is off the board. Again, Janet throwing curveballs at us all over here with her love for tight end. She may be the biggest tight end lover I've ever met in fantasy.
It's not about tight ends. It's about controlling the market, supply and demand.
I hear you. As the proud owner of Zach Ertz, I am with you. Like I want you to corner that market so we can get all these good players off the market for other people. So
and there's such a tier with tight ends too, and having Hunter Henry and Njoku.
Yeah.
No, maybe I'm gonna regret that 1.04 pick because I was liking me some Hunter Henry, kind of as the sneaky tight end in this. So Jenna, you can feel free to extort me at a certain point.
And it doesn't cost anything. $3 million.
Great call, Jenna. Like, speak to that because I'll cue that up for you while you talk to it. I'll show everybody what Hunter Henry costs for everybody.
Hold on 1 second, I'm posting him in my roster.
Yeah. But I am going to keep one of my own now that I have some draft pick capital and kind of balancing off average costing. And given what what Jenna just did, I'm going to put Keenan Allen back on the squad. And I mean, it's not cheap, but 3 years, 103.4 million left, 31.8 expensive RSO dollars in 2019. Luke and I were certainly overeager for some receivers in the auction, but he's cheaper than a couple of the other guys, that are out there still. So love the production. Going Keenan Allen.
All right, sounds good. And Hunter Henry, to speak to that, two different ends of the contract spectrum. Hunter Henry is coming in at only $3.5 million per year, as you say, and then so that's going to be a very enticing contract for people who are scrambling for cap space this year. And then on the flip side of that, we do in fact have Keenan Allen, who is such a good player for such a long time and attached to the man, the myth, and the baby-making legend, Phillip Rivers. He's the end of his contract registers at $37 million per year. Sam, it's back to you though, sir.
All right, got a introduction to make. Co-owner Alex Blair, also on Twitter at Alex R Blair, has just walked in and he's going to make our 5th pick in the draft. So Alex, I'll let you take it away.
How's it going, everybody?
Alex, welcome.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Really excited to get things going. I think with our 5th pick, I'm glad you mentioned cap relief because we're looking for a little bit of that as well. We're going to take our first wide receiver in Mr. Robert Woods.
Good pick.
Yeah, it was a good pick. I was looking at that too.
All right, Robert Woods, the running mate of Brandon Cooks, so you opted for him. And yes, perhaps the best value at wide receiver in the draft, as if we're talking RSO dollars. He's coming in at only $7 million per year, which is the same cost as like much lower tier receivers that you'll hear being taken later in the draft. So again, you could argue that Sam and Alex are cleaning up in terms of the value after the high ticket market, or probably the high ticket prices on Saquon and Deshaun to start off the draft.
I was going Woods, so give me a minute.
Man, is that 3? Is that 3 players we've stolen?
Yeah, you're stealing a lot of players, but that was good.
I think I'm gonna take a page from Jenna's book and take OJ Howard here.
This is the first time I've breathed this draft. Thank God. I know obviously no desire for OJ Howard, and Ashley gave me a bit of a reprieve there. So talk to me about OJ Howard and why you want him while we get things together on my side of this.
I just was looking for something cheap right now. And I honestly can't remember what his injury was. So if anybody could remind me, that would be awesome. Was it a knee or what did he do?
That's a great question, actually. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what OJ was.
I was going to start researching and see if he was.
I'm Googling it.
Expecting to come back healthy. I honestly don't know. So I just kind of.
All right.
Him and that was it.
So for my next 2 picks, then can finally have a player that I love a little bit. This probably, I mean, Goody, you can probably make this pick for me. You see his name standing out like a sore thumb on the list at this point.
Yeah.
But our boy, even though we overpaid for him, and even though there's some questions about the fit in Minnesota, my boy Stephon Diggs, my ride or die. I'm going with Diggs. I'm happy that he's on my team. I kind of love all of you for letting him fall to me here. I was considering him at the turn before and felt bad about picking Cooks. So Diggs is going to be there. And then I'm going to go with the 1.05 in the 2019 draft as well. So those are my 2 picks here at the turn. Now, you can't say much for what's going on with my team other than I will definitely have the best wide receivers with Adams, Cooks, and Diggs. That's about all I can assure anybody at this point in the league. So the rest of it is going to be a dumpster fire, everybody. So sit tight. So.
All right. I'm going to take my first wide receiver.
Who was your second pick? You took Diggs and who else?
The 1.05 in the 2019 draft.
Gotcha. Sorry.
Yep. No problem. Sorry, Ashley, go for it.
Okay. I'm going to take my first wide receiver. And I'm going to go with Mike Williams.
All right.
Mike
Red Zone
Williams
beast,
is off the board.
Can you give us some insight on your Mike Williams pick?
Sure. I'm expecting Tyrell to be gone, and I think Rivers likes Williams in the red zone. I was looking for cap relief also. I really love Diggs. I've got him on another league, but I've got some monster contracts, so
gotcha.
I was just looking for something a little cheaper here while I figure out my next move.
Surprisingly, nobody's taken the Alex Smith plunge yet. If I may impart some sarcastic wisdom.
Yeah, like I'm actually
2 years, 36.7 million left, or let's see some of the other guys, that have been thrown in here. Case Keenum for 17.9.
Yeah, it's not pretty. So
Team robbing your player up. Let's see. I think I'd mentioned that half of our ownership is ride or die with the Cincinnati Bengals. We're able to dodge the red rocket, but I think it's inevitable that we're just gonna have to go AJ Green here.
That's a good call. That may have been an oversight on my part to not go him at 105. Yeah, but good work on that.
Yeah, rookie picks are assets though too. So I think there's gonna be an appetite for those, Luke. And I think of people I've played in leagues with, I kind of like what you do with them. Luke's gonna get a laugh out of this next pick because when the 15-0 tell-all comes out about our infighting before the championship.
Don't do it. Not with your boy Cup on the board. Don't do this, baby. You don't have to do this.
I know I don't have to, but I need some cheap players. I do like Cooper Kupp too, though. But I'm gonna go Chris Godwin. He's got 2 years, 15.1 million left. I think in the Bruce Arians offense, I think Deshaun Jackson's doesn't really seem to want to be there. I like Godwin's upside a lot. And I did advocate for starting Tim Patrick over him with, an undefeated record on the line. And in like the most ridiculous after the fact, it was like same point total argument. It was kind of ridiculous. And we had nothing to fear, but I'm going Godwin.
Let me tell you a tale, everyone. Pull up around the fire and listen to old Luke tell you a tale of when a man named Tim Patrick was advocated over the athletic phenom that is Chris Godwin. And in fairness to Goody, like well, the discrepancy between the two players in the actual game was only a marginal difference. Tim Patrick actually outperformed Chris Godwin in said game. So yes, and that nearly tore apart the podcast, our friendship. This would have never happened because we were so angry from coast to coast about that particular decision. But yes, so like that is funny and a good irony for our draft. Like, so I can laugh a little bit now having Diggs on my team and Godwin not on my team. I didn't anticipate that happening. But back to you guys, and so we're back at the turn again.
Okay. Let's see. I am in really good cap space. I'm going to go ahead and take Robbie Anderson. I just think he's good at football. And I'm hoping the Jets actually do something this year. That's probably the worst thing anybody's ever said. And I'm going to go ahead and take my situation too. And no, I'm going to wait.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and take Robbie Anderson and Calvin Ridley.
Robbie and Ridley. So good job. So you've got good young wide receivers now. Evans, Robbie, and Ridley. You got DJ. You got a couple tight ends. To remind me who your second quarterback is, Jenna. You got Mahomes.
I do not have a second quarterback. I'm hoping these cheap wide receiver and tight end contracts will help me buy one for those guys that are in cap trouble. When I went through their teams yesterday, there's a lot of people that aren't going to have a lot for free agency.
Sounds good. And let's talk through our rosters here for everybody listening for a moment. You guys have been doing great. We've got some good radio here. So Goody, talk to me about who you've got top to bottom. What are you looking at for your team so far?
In terms of cap or who I have?
Who you have, sir. And
okay. Yeah. I have one running back in Christian McCaffrey. He's more than capable of handling the complete running back responsibilities for my franchise. Two quarterbacks in Tom Brady and Jameis Winston. I have the 1.04 pick in 2019. I have Keenan Allen, expensive Keenan Allen, and Chris Godwin as receivers, and I am on the clock right now.
Sounds good. Sam, how about you as we approach so that puts us in round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're in round 8, right? So
we're round 7.
All right, round 7, pardon me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. All right. So Sam, how about you? Where are you sitting at this point in the draft?
We got two quarterbacks in Watson and Breeze. Went ahead and took those first. Then we went ahead and took McKinnon and Jones, swapped up. I think Jones was kind of the last solid running back out of the group. So picked him up, went for Robert Woods to get a good contract, and then A.J. Green was still on the board. So we're at two quarterbacks, two running backs, two wide receivers.
Sounds good. Ashley, help us out here.
All right, I've got Barkley and Mixon carrying the load for me, and then I've got Darnold and Stafford as my quarterbacks. Threw a dart at O.J. Howard, and then I've got Mike Williams as my only wide receiver right now.
Okay. This is great, guys. I mean, everybody, obviously, you can see people are just diverging on strategy. There's obviously all of us have massive gaps on our team, as we should in a 16-team dispersal draft. It's going to be awesome to see how we follow up on this with assets that we might not have chosen if we were given a true blank slate or tabula rasa in the live auction. And in speaking to our listeners, I can say this is one of the geniuses of a dispersal draft is it really helps the life of a league, because now people like Sam and Jenna and Alex and Ashley can hop in and start throwing around assets that they wouldn't necessarily have chosen, that we all value differently. So it fires up the hot stove in the trade market during the offseason when you would otherwise be quiet. But as we know with Reality Sports Online, there's no real offseason. And that brings my team, for example, is Dalton. And then we have Adams, Cooks, and Diggs at wide receiver, Ertz at tight end, and the 105 pick overall. So thank you for your patience there, Goody. And now you're back on the clock. Yeah.
This one, it's funny, listening to Cooper Kupp talk, because I do have him in multiple leagues. I do love the guy, and I think it's glaring what the Rams were missing without him. But I'm going just love of a contract here, and just really someone who I got to watch in the second half of the season. Just loved how the dude ran routes, and he's super cheap. I mean, I feel like I've returned almost just a ton of players from our old team, but Dante Pettis at $1.8 million in 2019. Whether Antonio Brown shows up, they draft a receiver in the first round or not, it's just really too good to pass up. And 3 years of Pettis at $5.85 million. So like, kudos to our vacated owner who drafted him. I'm going Dante Pettis. Save myself a little cap. Love the ability, kind of counting on him to be a wide receiver 3. So I think that works for me right here.
Sounds good.
All right, we're back on the board. I thought you were gonna steal our pick there for a second. Another good contract. Get him for a long time. Looks like he's still on his somewhat of a rookie deal.
Yeah, just the cheap. We didn't have rookie draft last year, so it's just a cheap deal that was signed to the auction.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, whoever made this deal, which I think is the owner that we took over for, who I know Brian's a big Anthony Miller fan, so I think we're gonna have to go that route and take Anthony Miller.
You got me twice.
There it is. There it is.
Hey, now that like we're midway through the draft, can we see you guys instead of like the Saquon's quads?
Okay. Is it time for that?
The unveiling of Sam and Alex.
Yeah, see you guys like pounding beers and whatever, Nice. There we go.
What's up?
How's it going, fellas? How'd your basketball game go?
We took a tough loss.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we'll catch up in the playoffs.
All right. Oh, by the way, to the 11 existing owners in our league, like kind of like wetting their boots right now in fear of our 5 teams. Like, we haven't heard from you at all on Twitter. What's going on here? You guys have talked this up for, behind the scenes and asked a trillion questions like constantly. Haven't heard anything from Twitter. My Twitter is pretty quiet right now, so would love to hear from the Bobbies and the Devontaes and the Marcuses of the world, and the rest of you guys too. So,
all right. So, what do you got, sirs? Or actually, it's Ashley now. So yeah.
Once again, I was gonna take Anthony Miller, so I'm at a loss right now. I guess I'm gonna go Cooper Kupp.
Actually, with the angry slipped voice, I guess I'm stuck with Cooper Kupp.
Congratulations on a league
I keep
winner,
trying to
right?
nail a nice contract, and I wanted Woods, and I like Robbie Anderson, and then I wanted Anthony Miller.
So yeah, I'm curious because I think our mock drafters had highlighted that they expected at least one of our teams to be in cap hell, as they called it. So like, what's 2019 cap for some of these teams already? Like, without my draft pick, which I assume will be $7 million, with 7 players, I'm at 124-ish, I think.
We just calculated ours out. We're at 123.
Okay.
Wow, that looks rough. I'm sitting here at 98.
Yeah, I'm pretty close.
I'm at 140, so.
All right, Ashley's in a tough spot. Yeah, I'm pretty light still. I'm at 104, so I'm
104 with Kyle Lauletta as your QB2.
Hey, but listen, Kyle Lauletta is a sexy beast. Actually, we should talk about that, everybody. We should get real for a moment. I'm going to go with the 2019 1.07 pick. And I'm also going to, I guess, remedy, if you can call it that, my quarterback 2 situation, just so I have someone to play with this year. I'm going to go with Eli Manning at quarterback 2.
All right. Luke, can you recap some of the picks that happened after Dante Pettis for our listeners?
After Dante Pettis, it reads this way for me. You went Pettis. Sam, I think that queued you up for Anthony Miller from the Chicago Bears. Ashley grudgingly took Cooper Kupp, the talented but apparently more expensive than she preferred wide receiver with a bad wheel right now out of Los Angeles. And then I tried to corner the middle of the first round market in 2019 by going 1.07 and secured the latest quarterback 2. And I think we are all now, we are not all 2 quarterbacks deep. The young, yeah. So right now Jenna's looking at a quarterback like Ryan Tannehill, Case Keenum.
Yay.
So anyway, back to you, Ashley. I'm not gonna dance on. Frankly, Mahomes outscored any pairing of 2 quarterbacks else in the league anyway last year, so we can't.
Yeah, when you guys can't pay for your rosters, you'll come to me for somebody cheap, and I'll take one off your hands.
That sounds like a reasonable plan on your part. So there you go. All right, so back to you, Ash.
Who did you take with your second pick?
Eli Manning.
Ooh. Not Peyton Manning, right? You said Eli?
That's correct. The 2-time Super Bowl winner Eli Manning, who is also coached by former Vikings offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur, who extracted a brilliant season out of Case Keenum. So I'm hoping Eli learns how to throw a football again for this next season. So it'll be good.
Did you take the 107 there too, right?
I did, yes. Okay. Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Is anyone logged into the YouTube page? Our league mates are saying they're commenting on that, but I didn't want feedback from being logged into that and recording this podcast.
Yeah, likewise, I don't have that showing precisely for the same reason. I don't want to hear it as I go along, but I should. I'll call it if I can't really mute it either, sadly. So I don't.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard proposition, but they said I have some notes. We've been commenting on the YouTube page. Like from Ryan, Lucha Vikings, who's going to attend the NFL draft. He won a contest this year. He has family league, and then Bobby said that they've been on the page. And then Marcus is saying he loves the early Watson pick and your agony, Luke. Tim says loving the draft. Tim Aylesworth, who was a guest on a podcast with us that did very well numbers wise. And then Tim also says, I think some of the owners are making assumptions when it comes to ability to trade in this league. So I do think we're going to have a robust trade market. So I think that will make this fun too.
We appreciate the feedback on the Watson pick. We do it for our fans. So
yeah, they said someone can go to the YouTube page and mute the video. I'm a little leery of that with the one microphone and the muting and all that. So we'll see. Sorry to interject.
All right, so we'll keep it going there.
I'm going to go ahead and take my situation and take reality check.
All right. So, all right. Just to explain to our listeners the reality check situation. That was Luke's team, 15-0 with me. The player pool available to use franchise tags. I'll tell you the quick franchise tag amounts if someone's so inclined, if someone's being fiscally responsible. We have quarterbacks 32 million and change, running back 35.5 million, receiver 36.8 million, tight end 17.7 million. The players available, the pool of players who are expiring for reality check was our wonder boy Nick Mullins, Taylor Heineke, who performed well enough in the championship game to keep us in it. Damian Williams, who could be a nice pick as the Kansas City RB1. Justin Davis, who I don't think anyone will be using. Wendell Smallwood, Marlon Mack, who if Marlon Mack gets let back into the auction, will probably be the most sought after asset. Tim Patrick, who we've talked about ad nauseum. Ted Ginn Jr., Chris Conley, and Gerald Everett. So that's what we're talking about. Ashley is getting a pool of those players with the thought of being able to use the franchise tag down, sometime in this offseason if she's so inclined on that group.
If I can afford it.
If you could afford it.
But maybe.
Yeah. And just to recap from a draft pick perspective, we've had 3 picks taken. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so 2019, 1.04, 1.05, and 1.07. right?
That's correct. Yep.
Oh, okay, perfect.
All righty. So what is this? Is this our 8th pick?
Yes.
With our 8th pick, took a little bit of risk here, not going this route earlier. Kind of one of our strategies. We didn't want to feel like we were chasing the draft pool, sort of say, following up people's picks, and it seemed like tight ends went a lot faster than I had anticipated.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I think with our pick, I think if he performs like he did last year, might be overpaying a little bit. But I think 2 years ago, he really showed us, I think, that he could be a top 5 tight end. So we're going to go Evan Ingram.
I drafted him as a rookie in one of the other leagues that I play in on our RSO, and he has great talent if he can stay on the field.
Absolutely.
But he's killed me with injuries.
Yeah, that's one thing we're really going to work with him on this year is his stability,
load management.
So we're really working. I'm glad, Luke, you took Eli. I think they're both going to be monitoring snaps this year, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yep. Back to you, Goody. Now, the funny part here with Jenna's strategy is, honestly, all of us would have emerged with a tight end that we feel pretty good about had she not sniped the 2 tight ends there. And now Goody's left with, like, whatever gets left. Admittedly, it's a question about in any league, right? It's a little bit like for you Settlers of Catan player out there, it's like having a monopoly on wheat, though. Like, I don't know how much tight ends like get in. And you never know if Goody will just take the plunge and be cap irresponsible and add Rob Gronkowski for like millions of dollars over several years. But
yeah, well, I'm going to take a player that will at least give me the ability to, in being cheap, that will give me the ability to, if I want to plunge on Rob Gronkowski, I'm going to keep stacking. This is my 4th straight pick of picking a wide receiver, but I'm gonna go with Deshaun Hamilton on a nice contract. Got him 1.5 million this year, 1.6 million in 2020. So I had him as my 12th receiver in this dispersal draft. So I'm happy to walk away with him.
All right, Deshaun Hamilton is off the board, and it's back to Jenna now for 2 picks at the turn.
Okay, let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and take Sammy Watkins and see if he actually does something this year.
All right, Sammy Watkins off the board, the talented, but as they say, enigmatic wide receiver that has had flashes of that talent that got him drafted as the top wide receiver overall in a draft that has become legendary, if I'm not mistaken. But he's yet to live up to that potential. But nothing wrong with pairing Watkins and Mahomes and seeing if that plays out for a wild ride to win the league. So.
Yep, and I'll go ahead and take the 111 pick, 2019.
All right, 2019, 111 is off the board, everybody.
Okay. All right, so we got some draft picks gone. Okay. Luke, can you recite your team for me again?
I could, but I'd rather you just struggle a little bit, and so I'd rather not do that at this time. So.
Well, it could impact my next pick. So
exactly, that's what I'm trying to avoid. And so I will tell a little story though. Before the draft, I reached out to other owners, knowing that I would not want Jameis Winston to be playing for my team, but also knowing that contract was pretty outstanding, and he's currently on Goody's team. I did reach out to other owners and try to secure trade rights to quarterbacks I would have preferred, to no avail from other quarterbacks in our league. And so our league mates who are watching, and of the nearly double-digit people live watching this, they were laughing about that. I was trying to land a Jameis Winston trade before the draft even happened, and I talked to Ashley a little bit ahead of time when we thought Deshaun Watson was still going to be available to us, about what it would look like if we just went 4 quarterback picks right in a row just to see the carnage that would follow in the league. Obviously, I was on the receiving end of that, got slapped around a little bit, and ended up with Andy Dalton as my nominal savior of my team and Eli Manning. But yeah, it's back to you, sir. Goody.
All right, who do you have on your team? You have Devontae Adams. You have.
I have several wide receivers and Eli Manning and Andy Dalton. So there you go. And Zach Ertz. So.
Yeah, well, why don't we take your whatever we're calling Luke's pick in 2020, because I think you're going to suck it in 2019.
Wow, bold.
And it prevents me from spending real 2019 dollars right now, so I'm gonna do that. So and to be clear, I mean your first round pick.
Okay, so the 2020 Luke pick is now off the board. All right, and we're on to Sam.
Oh man, this is gonna be a tough pick. We got a lot of options. We got we're about 137 in cap. We've got a couple different options. I think we're gonna I know we're already sitting with Deshaun Watson and Breeze. I'd like the idea of maybe matching up a wide receiver to one of them. So I think we're going to go with our boy Kiki.
Kiki Kute is off the board with a nice contract, if I remember right. And looking at
same as Hamilton's contract. Yep. So Sam, are you going to name your team Death Cab for Kute?
No, absolutely not.
All right, so Kute is off the board.
I have a quick question. The players you guys threw in for the dispersal?
Yes.
If we don't pick those, are they going to the auction?
No, they'll be back on a team. They'll be back on a roster. They only get reprieve or relief if we choose one of their players.
All right. Well, I'm going to take Alshon.
Okay. Alshon was just thrown in by, let me see who threw Alshon in. Alshon Jeffrey, pick you off 24. So that was, let's see. I think Stacy threw Alshon in. So Stacy, if you're listening, you have some, cap relief, if that's what you're calling it. And
what do you think the game plan behind throwing Alshon in? Was she desperate for cap?
I haven't. Let me take a look. Stacy's man. We've had trouble with that before in our league. Let me see what. Let me look at Stacy's team and see.
Sorry, Stacy.
It's okay. It happens once through everyone here. Stacy's team, pick you off 24. I'm looking. Cap was Stacy had 152 million committed in cap, 152.8 on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. So yeah, I think that was it. I think Stacy has Mariota at 21.7 million, DeAndre Hopkins at 38.5 million, Antonio Brown at 38.7 million. Alshon was 16.2 this year. Melvin Gordon at 29.3 and Delaney Walker at 7.9. So Stacy has a lot of players to pick up in an auction and kind of a stars and scrubs like cap spread.
That sounds like he's got a big 3.
Yeah, definitely. Hopkins, Brown, and Gordon for sure.
All right.
I've got another question.
Sure.
The rosters are 18, right? With my situation, I'm at 18, so.
Oh, you're talking about you're talking about the active. Those players aren't on contract, so
it doesn't matter. Okay, that was
right. Yeah, and we're bumping it to 20 this year because of the 2 rookie rounds. We were 18 last year, and we're 20. We'll be 20 this year. Good question.
Yep. Excellent. All right, so it's back to me then, is what we're looking at. And to be clear, Jetta, you did draft Calvin Ridley, is that correct?
I did.
All right, I want to make sure that I've got my draft board all set and correct here. So, all right, I will go then for this league. There's a lot of beauty left to us here on the board. A lot of wonderful players that are available for us to draft. And having said that, I'm going to opt out of the drafting players market for the time being, and I'm going to go with I guess I'll go with Jenna and Ashley's picks for 2020 first round. I'm going to draft both of them, so that's what I'm going next.
What, you think girls can't play fantasy football?
I do not think that.
That's what it looks like.
As a father of daughters,
Luke, that was a fantastic pick.
As a father of daughters, I am not on board that plane. I just know the Lucha Vikings, who, if I chose their pick, I know that they are like pretty solid as a team. So I was trying to avoid that. And Sam has me worried with both Watson and Breeze, just knowing like Breeze literally might outscore my team by himself, like based on last year's estimation.
So are you calling us the front runners?
I think if I was picking from this draft at this time, if it was the five of us, I would call you the front runner. Yeah, that's where I'm sitting. So that does presume a lot on McKinnon, but as that's the Viking homer in me that thinks that he'll have his chance to shine, and like the overvaluing coaching as I often do. So yeah.
In the wise words of Coach Calipari, we're young, but I like our team.
So that's where I'm sitting. You know, I want the Red Rocket to enjoy some success. So I hope AJ Green catches a few of those balls he's been known to in the past. I don't know if you guys have heard of AJ Green, but he's been a decent receiver in this league for some years. So, but yeah. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm at.
How many years though? How old is he?
Yeah, that's fair enough. So you're calling Sam out for not being as young as he might think. So there you go. So, all right, it is back to you, Ashley.
All right, can you someone remind me which 2020 first are off the board right now?
All of them except for Lucha and Sam. So the three: Jenna, you, and me. Ashley, you and me. Yeah, Jenna, you and me. Yep. So.
All right.
And mine were traded away, so you don't have to speculate on my situation and how good or bad I'll be. Injuries tend to find me.
I guess I'll just go ahead and take Sam's then. I was planning on taking mine, so no offense, Sam. I was going to take mine, but I'll go with Sam's.
Man. I like Ashley giving herself versatility, guys. Like she's going with the situation before any of us did. There's a little innovation going on here, giving herself a future first. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be flexibility. There's going to be trading. And I think Ashley's setting herself up for that. So
I love the trade, just so everybody's aware.
And that puts us back to Sam, right?
Yes, we were actually going to take our first right there, give us a little flexibility and control our own destiny, but somebody had to go and ruin that.
You got me twice, so.
Not looking to spend a ton of money here, as I know a lot of us are. I think we are going to go with, let's see. I think we're going to go with a little Traquan Smith action.
Traquan is off the board.
Yeah, that's a nice little late pick in this with some value. He's got 4.3 million this left. He's one year, and he showed some flashes, some big games. I think he had a big game against the Eagles. I recall. Sorry to those Eagles fans out there. Which means I'm on the clock, and I'm not gonna spend much time on this. I'm gonna take that, even though I do like what the Lucha Vikings are doing. I kind of like what the potential quarterback market looks like in 2020, and just the talent in the 2020 NFL draft. So I'm going to take the Lucha pick in 2020.
Sounds good.
Let's see. Is it back to me already?
Yeah, you got 2.
Oh boy. Then I'm going to go ahead and
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Yeah.
How many assets will be remaining at the end of this?
It was like 5, right, sir? Is that right, Goody?
How many assets there? I think there's about 10. I think there's 10 more players than there are than there are assets. I can check. I'm checking that.
I'm just trying to how many
I think about 10. Yeah.
There's 10 because we're doing 16 rounds of this, and we're through round where we're through 10. Well, 10 rounds when Jenna makes her first pick.
Okay, so we can leave 10 people on the board at the end of this.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And each team obviously has to have a situation so that we could,
All right, so one of our remaining 6 picks is the situation for 4 of us. Ashley already picked hers. So
yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take air raid situation with the hopes that something happens to Jameis and Fitzpatrick has Fitzmagic again. And I think I'm going to take Ito Smith.
Okay. Well, that's a nice little pick, especially if Devontae Freeman doesn't return, if he still has injury issues.
And I think he at least proved he could share time last year. So
yeah, I like Ito a lot. He was like, in full disclosure, behind the curtain on our team. That was like my pick. He was a guy that I had looked at. He was gonna be my next pick. So well done there, Jenna, sniping from the far end of the table there. And Goody does not like him as much. Thinks he's just a guy. But yeah, he at least will be part of a timeshare with Devonta Freeman when we all see Coleman move on, as we assume that he will. So, Goody, back to you. I assume she did not snipe you there, knowing your feelings on Ito. So.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like Ito was just a guy. I'm thinking through this now because there's a couple assets that I like. Taking a look and seeing where we are with things. So. As of now, there's 4 first-rounders that have taken in 2019 and all of them in 2020, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna take a leap on a guy that I think just is shown some talent in a thin running back pool. I'm gonna take Elijah McGuire.
A good pick. He was you guys just stopped me from going bargain basement shopping. Those were my running backs I was going to take. So
that was my next pick too.
So
I finally got one from you guys.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Get out of our head.
I'm in your head, Werder.
All right, so it's cool. I mean, it's fun to see the constellation of picks here at the end. For those of you listening, right? Ito and McGuire, to give you some context, both of them are they're at or under $1 million per year for their contracts. It gives you a playable asset, as you might imagine, in a 16-team league. Any player that is getting playing time and getting touches is potentially usable week to week, and so. What Jenna and Goody did, just locking themselves up a player that they can potentially start, given that nothing changes dramatically, right? Like Goody's holding his breath that the Jets don't go get like Lev Bell or something, and Jen is banking, I think, reasonably on the fact that Coleman leaves in free agency, but this is part of the fun of us giving this draft to you now before the offseason breaks. Some of these picks might look terrible in retrospect, but I don't think gambling on cheap running backs at the end of the draft are going to be those. I think those are two really crafty picks by Jenna and Goody. As you heard, Sam and I were waiting to go after those guys next, and so I think that's a cool sign that you've got some experienced drafters making the most of what they got at this point in the draft.
All right, it looks like we're up. We are going to go ahead, and it's hard to pick between the two Redskins wide receivers. We already got a bunch of young wide receiver talent. We were going to go the Elijah McGuire route. Not too thrilled about picking so late in the first round, so I think we're just going to take an asset here that we think might be tradable, depending on how O.J. Howard is. So we're going to take Cameron Brate.
Cam Brate off the board, everybody. So there you go. I think he's the last tight end. Pardon me.
You got Gronkowski too, right?
Yes. Gronk is still hanging out there. So Brate picked ahead of Gronk again. Almost unthinkable this time last year. We all saw Gronk running around the shell of himself until the Super Bowl, where he acquitted himself well. But Brate is on an easily dispensable contract, and certainly one that is not going to hurt Sam's bottom line and Alex's bottom line. So again, part of that coming into play at this point in the draft. And Ashley, we are back to you. So
I'm going to go and take 114.
All right, 114 is off the board. Then I think I will go with the 16th overall pick, the 2019 116.
So is that the last of the first rounders in 2019?
Yeah, the first rounders have been exhausted, sir.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking at there. And so with that pick, and then I will also take a situation, if you guys don't mind. I will take the situation of Ambassador of Quan will be on my team. The Ambassador of Quan situation. In hopes that I haven't used a lot of my cap. Worst case scenario, there's my first running back, and I can have Chris Carson running for me along the way. So, all right, back to you, Ashley.
My cap's pretty high, so I'm going to take 204, 2019.
2019 2.04 is off the board. And Sam, we're looking at you. Things accelerating a little bit. As you might imagine, the player pool is thin. We're talking players. As we wait for Sam, we're talking players. Like Goody, you and I can be proud. Our team was the first team to have all of its assets drafted, demonstrating the wisdom of pulling from the playing tree of a 15-0 or 16-0 league champion. But you still have players out there like the Redskins wide receivers. You still have DJ Chark. You still have Marquise Goodwin, players that were hot names this time last year and kind of fell off in faded into the nether. Jay Ajayi is sitting there for the taking. So Sam, what are we looking at?
I think we're going to roll the dice here, boys. I think we like our spot, and you know what? Don't know why this player was thrown back in the pool unless somebody knows something we don't. I know he was hurt at the end of the year, but I'm thinking he's going to make a comeback. So I think we're going to go Emmanuel Sanders.
Manny Sanders, a good-looking pick. By some estimations, like some fantasy pros have him as early as an 8th-round pick overall in Dynasty right now. So yeah, there are other people in the community that value what you did there. And so, yeah, Manny Sanders off the board to you, Sam. And back to you, Goody.
All right. I think there's gonna be some surprise here, but I've been pinching my pennies a little bit, and I'm gonna take a risk that if I'm right, this puts me in prime position in this league. I'm taking the venerable former Kansas City running back and hoping for the best. I'm going Kareem Hunt. And Sam, by the way you introed that, I swear you were taking him right there. So,
all right. So
I wouldn't do that to you, Giddy. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's funny because Steven's probably like jumping up and turning cartwheels right now because I just cleared him of $32 million in 2019 and 34 in 2020. But I kind of like where I've picked my team so far. I have some future assets. I have some current ones. See what happens with it.
So Goody picking the hardest team for cheer for out of all of us. He's got Jameis Winston and Kareem Hunt sitting on his roster. I'm
a character guy. I can inspire them to perform and be good citizens.
Goody proving to be the Hugh Jackson of our league. Like he can rehabilitate everybody. If this was an IDP, then a certain Bengals linebacker would also be on Goody's team at this point.
I really don't like that guy.
All right. So Jenna, back to you at the turn.
I'm going to go ahead and take Ronald Jones.
Clearing some more space for people. Ronald Jones is off the throwaway list from the rest of our league. So the rest of our league, I don't know if they're chiming in on this, but they are getting significantly more relief than I anticipated when going into this. So good on you all. So there you go.
And 207 for 2019.
2019 207 with the first pick of what round are we in now, folks? Is anybody else keeping track of that?
We are in the wrong sheet.
13, I think.
13, yep.
So 3 more picks. Remember to get a situation amongst those 3 picks.
Here. So what picks remain for 2019, 2020?
2, 9, 11, 15, and 16 for 19, and mine and Ashley's second round picks, and Luke and Sam's second round picks.
Okay.
So we have 3 more picks left, and then if you haven't picked a situation, that has to be 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get 2 more assets and then a situation. All right.
Right. Here we're in the, as far as I'm telling, we're in the 13th round right now. So I have 4 picks to go. Is that, Jenna, have you made 13 picks?
Yes.
Okay. And so since you were just the first one to do that, then all right.
Who was her second choice?
207 and Ronald Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 209 for 2019.
All right, back. Sorry about that. Yeah, little technical difficulties on my end. Everybody still here? Matt, can you hear me, sir? Good.
Yeah, I hear you.
We're here.
All right, everybody good? So, where did we leave it? 13th round. I was saying that a lot of people in our league are getting cap relief, and we're still into it. The broadcast is still going. We're good to go. So, use Goody, right?
Yeah, I just picked 2.09 and 19 as the highest pick available, I guess.
2.09 and 19 is now yours. So very good.
And so Sam is on the clock.
Yep, let's see here. Oh no. I think we're gonna take Jenna's second round pick.
All right, in 2020.
Yep.
The 2020 Genesis second is now off the board, everybody.
And Steven has confirmed that he is doing cartwheels.
All right, yeah, that's look, it's the go big or go home pick of the draft for sure. I assumed I thought you were picking Gronk when you teed it up that way and to pair him with Brady, but we'll see how that goes too.
Ironically, I think Hunt is less risky.
Yeah, we'll see. So, all right. So, Ash, it's you.
I'm gonna take my 2020.
Ashley's picking her 2020. So
205.
by my count, Ashley and Jenna's 205s are off the board. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Or probably 2020s are off the board. So that leaves two 2020 seconds on the board. And
all right, Luke, could you show the screen again so that our listeners can feel for like what the crap that's left over right now is?
Absolutely. So I will screen share what we're looking at this point. So by my count, you've got players like this. You could dip into the very deep pool of wide receivers like Josh Doxson or DJ Chark, who, there's worse to be had, I suppose. And then you've got the Marquise Goodwins of the world. You got some more expensive assets like floating around out there, like Alex Collins, and yeah. So that's what we're looking at, like the leftovers of these guys here. But I actually want assets on my team, and with only 3 rounds left, I am going to go. And so 211 was picked. Is that correct for this year? Can anyone confirm that for me, or just 209 the last one?
211 was not picked.
All right, so 209 was the last pick?
Yes.
Okay.
Of 19 there, yes.
All right. I think what I will do then is actually I will go with my pick and Sam's pick of 2020. I'll take the last 2 2020 picks. So that's what I'm going to do.
Okay. So we have 3 picks in 2019 remaining. Can we clarify what situations are left?
I have Quan. I have Ashley taking reality check, and I have Jenna. You took air raid, right?
Okay, yep. So it's Super Bowl and Legion of Griffin. Okay, perfect.
And it's back to you, Ashley.
I'm going to take 211, 2019.
All right. And Sam, you're up, sir. Is this the last round that we're looking at, or am I counting wrong?
I'm still showing myself as having 3 picks.
Yeah, we're in round 14.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Are we in 14 or 15? What's going on?
14.
14.
So we have 4 picks left. Is that correct? Or 2 picks?
3. You've already picked in round 14, so you have 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, 2 picks left. Thank you.
All right. So just to be clear, how many picks do I have left? 3. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then one of them has to be a situation.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. We are going to take Corey Clement.
All right. Nice.
Roll the dice.
I like that. I mean, he's a good pass catcher. I mean, his contract's fairly cheap, so that'll work. Let's see. Which means I'm on the clock.
Letting the listeners take a look at all these players while Goody's looking around. So these are the kind of assets that are being still floating around out there. So.
Okay. I'm gonna take a potential. I'm gonna invest in the Jacksonville new quarterback, and I'll take DJ Chark.
Chark is off the board,
and that was my next pick.
So Jenna's getting too queued up here of her last 3 picks.
Oh, sorry, Jenna. It's kind of slim pickings at this point.
I'm so embarrassed to be that person that has to do this, but I have to have another quarterback in case nobody will trade with me. So, Case Keenum. I want to cry.
Yep.
Oh, and Tim Aylesworth, he of the 201 million cap, just gets a nice little 17.9 million reduction of that.
Not bad.
And in my defense, I only have to pay him for 1 year, so it's not.
Hey,
I'm investing.
This is what Tim's strategy was in putting it in. So I think it's fun that we've taken a total of 5 players of the 10 that have been offered. Only one team did not throw players in the pool, and Case Keenum seems to have starting chops this year. And Jenna, just to kind of talk through things, like Ryan Tannehill is still on the board, and that's how much you value Keenum over an unknown where Tannehill may go.
I like Keenum's coach. I like his situation. I don't think he's going to be a stud, but I think he'll put up 15 to 17 points a week.
Gotcha. Okay, right on. And
and that would be in a regular scoring league. I'm not sure how it'll go in this one. So.
Yeah, and then did you make another pick? Sorry, I've been asking.
No, let's see.
Sorry, I didn't want to take it.
And I'll take 215 from 2019.
Okay.
All right. Is 211 already gone, I assume?
Yeah. So you're taking 215 from 2019.
Goody, who did you take? I had technical difficulties, so I missed it.
Oh, I took... My last pick was DJ Chark.
Okay. Thank you.
Enter the Chark tank. Okay. Well, this is tough because one of my picks has to be a situation. I'm between 2 things. Let's see. Still thinking on this.
All right.
I'm still deliberating. I'm sorry.
All right, we can't be doing research on air. Let's go, Goody.
I know.
Sir, this is amateur hour. We all made picks when we were under duress. Make your call, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to go with... I already have 2 picks this year. I'm going to, just in case on like a high variance thing, I'm going to go Kyle Lauletta and hope that he starts eventually.
You terrible person. I'm hoping that they don't have their backup on the team right now. So there we go. All right, Lauletta's off the board. So.
I mean, I think the Giants are drafting a quarterback in the first round this year.
I do as well. Sam, what are you looking at, sir? So Sam and Alex still need a situation. They've got a couple other things going on, and
yeah, and by default, my last pick is the situation.
Yep.
Who did you end up going with?
I took Kyle Lauletta. And just for reference point, because my last pick's a situation, without adding the draft picks, and my 19 cap is 154.4 million.
Okay, I think that's right around where we're sitting right now. There's one more draft pick available, right?
That's correct. Mr. Irrelevant this year.
we took Corey Clement thinking that may roll the dice on Jay Ajayi. Little risky considering he is 14-7, puts us pretty close to the 170 mark. Not really going to be much of a factor in free agency, but I don't really think there's much out there. I think there's Philip Lindsay, and so I think we gotta roll the dice on a possibility of a starting running back with the backup. So we're going to go Jay Ajayi.
Ajayi is off the board.
Okay,
and brings it back to you, Ashley.
Just while Ashley's on the clock, conversational piece wise, I mean, I kind of assume that more bad contracts would be getting taken than what's happened so far. So is anyone else kind of in that same opinion?
I just took Case Keenum, so no.
I mean, I took Hunt. I mean, of course, it's a leap, but yeah.
I'm hoping Alshon's ends up not being bad.
Good draft, though.
Yeah, he's a workable player in a 16-player league. I think Alshon is still an asset rather than a deficit, so that's fine. That's I mean, we'll see. I mean, Michael Crabtree might get some relief from me from the canal swimmers. Like, is he even having a team next year? Is he still a Raven? Like, what's going on? Like, I need to look that up. So
I think he maybe is a cup candidate. Let's see.
Yeah. Well, Ashley's looking. I'll take a look at that. So
I'm ready if you're good.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's a free agent. I have no idea. I'm going to take Nelson Aguilar, I guess. Is he there? I don't even know.
He's available, yes.
I'll just take him.
All right. Yeah. A lot of Eagles going late. Crabtree had 11 million guaranteed in his deal. They signed an 18. 1 million. So he's on the books for 5 million this year, but I don't know if there's guarantees on that. I have to look at Spot Track.
All right. Well, I'm going to avoid that then because I don't want any part of the young quarterback Lamar Jackson from a receiving end of things. Like I love that kid. Just watching him play. But I will go with the Mr. Irrelevant in this year's draft. So I'm going to take the last draft pick there. And my final pick then to start our final round off is going to be let me see who we got here. So we still have Doxson and Paul Richardson out there floating around. And we have Marquise Goodwin, who's not on a terrible contract, but I think what I'm going to do is like go a different direction altogether. I'm just going to minimize my cap, period, and I'm going to pick a man that probably never thought he would hear his name called during this particular draft, but I'm going to go with the running back, Jeremy Hill. So
that's what I was going to
do. Yeah, so Jeremy Hill is now a starting running back for Pontifex Minimus for the 2019 fantasy season. So, and I am done with my Jeremy Hill selection, folks. I'll sit back and I'll wait for your response.
You'll enjoy watching us pour over bad contracts, right?
There you go.
Well, Sam's situation, mine is the same, so I'm not sweating what he's doing here.
Oh, you just wait and see.
Yep, we're being told by the rest of our league that Hill did in fact go in the mocks because of contract value. So, yeah, I mean, my team is by far the worst out of all of ours at the end of the draft. I can say that, but I do have significant cap room, so I'm hoping to be a repository for other people in our league's bad contracts. And I emerged once you threw me with the Deshaun pick. My idea pivoted to locking up the best contracts and locking up draft picks. So that was kind of my strategy from that point forward. So again, chime in here whenever people want to as we go along. But that was the move that I made after I locked up players that I wanted. As far as functioning players on my team, really I only have Dalton, Adams, Cooks, Diggs, Ertz, and Eli Manning at this point.
So looking back on how the draft played out, would you say that taking Watson at 3 panned out, or still questionable? I'd rather have Barkley at this point. What would be your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a good call. Because Jones fell to you, who I thought was the best running back value, I think it played out as well as you could have hoped. And you arguably netted. I mean, I think you could make a case that of the receivers available, that A.J. Green, in terms of pure talent, is the 4th best wide receiver that was available in this draft. And you netted him quite late. From what I remember, Woods the best receiver value. Like, look, I like Sam's team. Like, if I could trade a roster, that's probably the one I would trade with. But I'm happy for all of us in that I think the draft, to some extent, played out how we intended. I know Ashley is brilliant. I would prefer her running back situation and probably to build a team that way. And frankly, she has 2 quarterbacks locked up, so she has a lot of trade flexibility. Jenna has the best player in the league, and she has one of my favorite people in the league, in DJ. And Goody started strong with 2 quarterbacks and has CBC locked up our best values at wide receiver after making fun of me for going with Godwin and Pettis in other situations. So I think everybody has things they can play with. I think this is going to be an awesome hot stove over the next couple of weeks.
I'll take Paul Richardson.
All right. I still like Paul Richardson. I think if he could stay healthy, the balls have to go around somewhere in Washington. Who knows who is going to be throwing them?
For sure.
All right. Which situation you going with, Sam?
Which one do you want?
I don't really care.
You know what? I'm going to take
maybe. Are you already in the thing where you have you quote unquote took over for Brian's team?
I'll just take Brian's situation.
Yeah, then we don't have to move. That makes it easy. Then we could just load players on there.
No. I think I might go. No, I'm just messing with you. Yeah, I'll take Super Bowl.
Okay, then I have the Legion of Griffin situation, and I mean I'm not using my franchise tag. My franchise tag is basically Kareem Hunt. So, yeah, that wraps it up for me.
And I guess in the last pick of the draft, I will take Nelson Aguilar.
He's already been.
I think he already. Yeah, he already went.
Oh, I missed that one. Well,
I think Ashley grabbed him, right?
Yep.
Doxson?
Doxson is there.
Take him, I guess.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Scroll to Doxson. Which team is that guy on? Oh, there you go. Super Bowl. So Doxson coming in at $4 million to wrap up the draft. So yeah, the kind of onerous contracts that were avoided, and people that will be going back into the free agency pool now that become free agents are players like and this will be removed for those of you who are following along for their RSO brand. And thank you for hanging in there. If you're still with us a couple hours into this draft, God bless you. Hang out here. But yeah, we're gonna be the guys and we'll just use Gronk because he's such a big name. Gronkowski's contract is 25 for this year and 26 for next year. With questions about retirement, there is no retirement amnesty in our league, and so he'll be thrown back into the pool using the commissioner function. He'll just be reduced to 0, and now he's a free agent and could probably be gotten for a much more palatable get. But so he was the biggest avoid. A player like Ryan Tannehill, with his uncertainty and rumors swirling around Miami that he's going to be cut. So those are the kind of people that we didn't get on our rosters, and so that's where we're looking. And I think now it's time for everybody to do some trades. Goody's going to stay up into the wee hours of the night, making sure that we're all set so we can start trading immediately, I'm sure. And so
yeah, I'm gonna try. I mean, Demaryius Thomas was left. I mean, I think Devontae Parker was he expired actually.
Yeah.
So So in terms of contract avoidance, we did that. I think half the players offered were, actually taken. The ones that weren't from teams that will revert back to their teams: Deion Lewis at $20.4 million, Chris Hogan at $10.7 million, Jordan Wilkins at $7.1 million, Alex Smith at $17.8 and $18.9, and Michael Crabtree, I think, at $7.4. So I mean, just kind of to put a bow on this. How did this go relative to how you expected it to? Like, what were your strategies?
Anybody?
Yeah, let's start it off. Whoever wants to. Jenna, why don't you just go right from the top? You had the first pick, so
okay.
tell us what you were thinking. Yeah.
I really just wanted to get the best value contracts that I could, because I knew I was going to take Mahomes, and I knew that my first 3 picks I'm probably going to keep on my team, but the rest of them are just basically trade bait.
Right. And excellent outlook. And as far as your cap, do you have a guess as to where you're sitting at? Just
I can tell you exactly where I am. I'm at 153,975, not including draft picks for next year.
Great. All right. Goody, how about you, sir?
Yeah, I'm at a similar number, 154.4, not including draft picks, and my real thought, like, as like after knowing that I was going to have the second pick and leaning McCaffrey on cost, I was hoping Breeze would go to me. I was targeting Winston like the whole time, just really as a QB2. I really just didn't want to get into the situation where I was trading a draft pick or some type of asset for a QB. I just didn't really want that headache again this year, as we kind of gave away our draft capital last year to get it. So it was really kind of a mix of, getting a couple high salary players and then kind of I felt like wide receiver was the deepest position strategy wise here. So I kind of wanted to pick for value there and go fairly cheaper. I mean, Keenan Allen doesn't really fit that boat, but basically, like, I think, I was looking at Robert Woods. I liked him a lot, but I was kind of trying to save my money with the thought that if people, that if all Kareem Hunt was costing me was an opportunity cost of where I was going in this dispersal draft, and I didn't have to trade any like draft picks or assets for him, that if I built a decent team, I would, take the plunge on him and try. And if he's suspended for, the majority of the season, then I'll just park him on injured reserve, because we did vote that through. So, like, I mean, I have 2 more years of that, but I did kind of have Kareem Hunt in my mindset if I was comfortable and confident with the rest of what I picked up. And then I was also dreading trying to, pick up too many bad contracts.
All right, Sam, you and Alex stepped into the ring. And again, I've been lauding your team. Part of it is just because I anticipated having Watson and building out from there. So talk to me about what you did.
Yeah, I started off and I was kind of unsure about the whole quarterback situation. Going back to when we were picking draft slots, the reason I chose 3 is because I thought, worst comes to worst, I end up with Drew Brees at 3. If the person in front of me took Deshaun Watson, I'd get Brees, and I'd at least have one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft. But I was pleasantly surprised that Christian McCaffrey was picked at 2, which, obviously he had a great year last year. So then I decided to go with Watson, who I get 3 more years out of him. It's an expensive contract, but I think he's only going to get better. And then, honestly, that second pick of Brees falling to me that was the surprise, I think, of the draft for me. That and Aaron Jones falling. So being able to get those guys, and then looking at the running backs, we kind of strategized and said we wanted to get at least 2 of Barkley, McCaffrey, Mixon, Johnson, McKinnon, and Jones. We could get 2 of those guys. That would be a pretty big advantage, which we did. So, and then we thought team was looking good, so we decided we were going to do assets. We would go toward the 2020, and then we were kind of late to that party, and those kind of went quick, but we were lucky to get AJ Green when we did. We decided to take Woods early because that contract, and then pairing Kiki and Traquan Smith up with our quarterbacks helped out. And then kind of toward the late of it, we decided to take a risk on Jay Jari. I think anytime you can at least try to get another valuable running back at even if hopefully he'll have a decent year, and if not, we got CC on the other end. So not too many assets as far as draft picks. Probably not playing too much in free agency. We're at 171 in cap. So if anything, I don't know how much trading we'll be doing. We always welcome the offers, but we're liking where we're at.
Very good. So my anguish was much noted before I sent to Ashley. So I ended up with two quarterbacks that are far diminished from what I had hoped. My backup plan at quarterback was Sam Darnold, and that was sniped right before me. A good pick by Ashley. And that left me with Dalton and Eli. That put me in full-fledged best player available mode really throughout the draft. Like I just was opting for the best contracts attached to the best players. Going more wide receiver heavy than I intended, but with some calculations from last year based on like points per dollar. I liked what those guys were doing. And then I accrued assets. I have 5 first rounders between this year and next year, a number of second rounders as well between this year and next year, and 70 million in available cap space. So I anticipate every year players rise up on, as we know, that come out of nowhere, like the Philip Lindsays of the world. And I just hope that I will be early to that party and have more cash to like flex with to kind of fill out significant holes in my roster as the season goes along.
And Ashley, did we talk to you?
You did not, but
Yeah,
I can
Ashley,
wait patiently.
Hey, thanks, Luke. Way to trample over.
No. There's no trampling, Goody. Just follow. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the number 5, which is where Ashley picked, is down.
Oh, true. Okay.
Yeah.
I picked 4, but it's good.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, it's been a long night. I've had a lot of Baileys, and I'll see you later. So.
All right, Ashley. So.
Nothing went to plan for me. Once Barkley fell on my lap, I really didn't know what I was going to do. So I'm happy with my run game. I've reached on OJ Howard. I wish I would have taken Diggs there. Or Anthony Miller. I really like Anthony Miller. I hate my wide receivers, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I might try to move Barkley and get a couple.
You already have suitors. People are already asking for you to follow them on Twitter. So
great. I look forward to getting on Twitter when I'm done with this. So
yeah, Barkley will be a hot commodity for sure. So.
Yeah. To the folks in our league, give me a little time to have some dinner, and then I'll try to get cranking on this. And I do need like a list so that I know that I'm moving everyone. So any sets of eyes after the fact is appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all facilitate that for Goody. It's easy enough with your own team. So if you just send him everything that you drafted, that way he has that. Like, we'll do that. We'll all get that to you, Goody.
Right. And then you'll just see a bunch of trades in the system or whatever. So okay. Cool.
But we'll close out tonight by opening it up. Thank you for all of you staying with us. A bunch of the league mates have been watching. They're all in the chat and stuff. Can you guys chime in with your favorite pick of the draft and your least favorite pick of the draft, and we'll close on that note with these last 3 minutes before we hit 10 o'clock. So yeah, all you guys in the chat, either in the league chat or on YouTube, chime in with your favorite or least favorite of the picks that you guys went to there. There's some funny comments going on. Curtis in our league says that the sad thing is that all these teams are better than mine. Yeah, and like commentary on like our misestimation of the trade market. They're already starting to position themselves like along the way. So
yeah. All right.
Yep. But all right, guys. Well, thank you. Have a great night. For all these that followed along live on YouTube, and then we'll be hearing this in the podcast. That is how you run a dispersal draft. Special thanks to my boy Matt Goody for taking care of business and putting together the draft sheet for us. That was like a significant amount of work. And Jenna, Ashley, Sam, and Alex, welcome to the league. Good luck to you, and let's fire up these trades.
All right, there's another episode of All About Reality. Thanks, folks.